everybody, I hope the test went well yesterday. So we're going to start today with the journal. So go ahead and get out your blue sheets. And our journal today is about modernity. So what does it mean to be modern, right? What does modernity mean? So take a moment, go ahead and work on that. Take as long as you need and feel free to pause the video. And yes, I am wearing headphones without actually wearing them because I need this mic, because I tried recording on my computer without a mic. It sounds bad, but then this is like my third time making the video because I'm having audio problems, so I need to figure my life out. So while I figure that stuff out, why don't you guys go work on your journal and we'll be back in a bit. Okay? Let's go. Oh geez. Okay, there we go. I think it's working. I really hope the audio doesn't make annoying clicking noises. That's what it's been doing. Oh geez. I'll try my hardest to move through this quickly so that if it screws up again, not so much time will be lost. Okay, so our topic is Belle Epoque, or fin de siècle. And I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I'm okay with that because, again, I'm bad with French. So our question is this the beautiful era, as seen with the image on the left with the Eiffel Tower and the World's Fair, or is this time period of the end of the 19th century, which kind of actually includes the first 14 years of the 1900s because it has so much in common with the 1800s that we kind of shove it all together? Or is this kind of simply the cynical end of the old age, right? The two different views are best expressed maybe with the images. What these two kind of terms mean is Belle Epoque really does mean beautiful era, but apparently the kind of term end of the age in French, fin de siècle, has this kind of negative meaning towards it, right? It's sort of like this, yeah, whatever, kind of sucked anyways, kind of feeling towards it. So we'll be kind of thinking about this concept, right? Is this a beautiful era, or is this just kind of an age that needs to go? So all this means we need to keep in mind this word modernity, right? What does it mean to be modern? And is modern always a good thing, or can it also perhaps be a bad thing? And we'll get into some of the positives and negatives of modern. Remember, when we talk about the word modern, we don't mean current, right? We mean modern. So when people say modern, think about when they mean like, let's go to a modern country, right? They're not talking about a country that's knows what happened to 21 Savage recently. They're talking about a country with electricity, right? So modernity isn't about being current. It's more about kind of these big concepts like analytical thinking, constitutional government, nationalism, industrialization, having a civilized middle class, and eventually, and this will not happen everywhere equally, but we'll get into imperialism later on too. So feel free to follow along in your handout, but we're going to kind of go through each of these and how they pan out for modernity. So let's start with analytical thinking. This is kind of all about science. So think Mendeleev, think periodic table of elements, everything that kind of goes with that. We're going to talk about analytical thinking and how it applies to politics. So we'll get into communism and socialism and how it all seems very logical, but then eventually there's some problems with that too. In fact, it is very popular. A lot of people think that communism never really caught on anywhere other than maybe Russia. That's not necessarily true. Socialism, communism, they have still to this day a lot of influence in a lot of European countries like France or Germany. And we'll get into that more. To give you an idea, about 2/3 of the French legislature identified as some kind of socialist or friendly to socialist party. We'll talk about nationalism again more this unit and how it's become really cemented in the minds of every major European country. And I really want to take a moment to talk about the second industrial revolution. So if you could take a moment, stop, pause, and look at your handout, look at some of those charts and statistics on your handout, and kind of just skim through those, and we'll come back in a moment. So at this point, I hope you've had time to kind of review what's going on in your handout. Hope you're noticing that a lot of these countries are industrializing, right? And it's kind of a competition. We can see that Britain outproduces almost everyone else at first because they're the first ones to go through the first industrial revolution, and then eventually Germany overtakes them. We can even see countries like Italy, Spain, Portugal, they're all getting in on this. This is because the second industrial revolution is perhaps what you're more familiar with, right? This is not just textile mills. This is the Carnegie, Rockefeller, Vanderbilt era, right? Where there's railroads and mass-produced steel and skyscrapers kind of start and big factories and modern manufacturing appear and big steel plants in Pittsburgh, but also in Germany, right? This is the era of new inventions like street lights over here on the upper right, airplanes, cars. Remember, cars were not invented by Henry Ford. They were just made cheap and affordable by Henry Ford. So cars will be kind of a symbol of luxury. And in this unit, we'll notice that responses to industrialization are less about rioting and about passing legislation to prevent children from working, and more about really governments understanding the threat of when industrialization can go wrong and really kind of trying to find ways to prevent people from seeing problems with industrialization. They want to make cities desirable, right? They want to make you move to the city, right? They want to make you feel that the cities are safe and clean. So they embark on these new projects that are all about cleaning things up, right? For example, in Paris, they'll redo the streets to be wider and safer. They'll redo the sewer systems. Well, actually, in some cases, they'll make the sewer system because it was never there before. They'll create schools and orphanages for kids. They'll have all these new ways of improving public health. For example, this French chemist named Louis Pasteur creates the thing called pasteurization. This makes milk available to the masses, right? Because it can be preserved, go in a fridge, and not spoil. Speaking of which, fridges are become popular in this time, refrigeration. Joseph Lister, this German, he invents sanitation, right? Soap, antimicrobials, antibacterials, changes surgery forever. It's part of the reason why so many less people need amputations after World War I than maybe in the American Civil War, because people now understand the importance of germs, right? And germ theory, and becomes kind of common. People know what germs are. They don't just think it's like evil spirits making you sick. Throughout all of this, we're seeing a rise of a middle class, right? And this is not old-fashioned, super wealthy middle class. This is a middle class that does not own the means of production, but loves to look like they do, right? It's all about looking like you're wealthy. So these are like the lawyers, these are the doctors, these are the teachers, the small business owners who are going out there and enjoying their lives, right? They're going to department stores now. They're going to sports games. They're going to theaters. They're buying bicycles and riding them around in the park. They keep up with what's happening in the Tour de France, right? So this new middle class is more like the middle class we know today, right? They're all about the pull yourself up by the bootstraps entrepreneurial ethic. They're centered on the family. They believe in manners and proper public behavior. They value education. Many of them go to college. They have new white-collar jobs. I mean, this is sort of the family dynamic that is represented so much in modern culture today, even. It kind of lives on. So this middle-class culture, right, is all about you go to work and then you have time for leisure. So you go to museums, you go to galleries, you go to concert halls, you go to theaters, you go to musical societies, literary salons, you go to the elegant restaurants and cafes, you go to the World's Fair, you go to amusement parks, you go to circuses, dance halls, variety shows, sporting events. The Olympics come back in this period. The World Cup is invented in this period. So all of this is really just kind of mass entertainment as a concept appearing, right? All the good old stuff we know today. And apparently my dog is barking in the background and getting yelled at. By the way, it's Luna's birthday tomorrow, so I'll try to get some Luna eating her birthday cupcake. I don't know what we're doing for her birthday. We're probably going to pamper her and do really pathetic things. That's my life. So speaking of being domesticated and controlled by another member of your family, how I'm controlled by my dog, husbands and wives developed very distinct roles in this period. This kind of idea of the man has a living wage and, makes the money while the woman just makes the home pretty, in cook's dinner becomes really common in this period. This is called the cult of domesticity, and it defines gender roles in this period so much. Um, Art in this period is all about representing, and sorry that everything got screwed up on this slide, I don't know what's going on. Art in this period is all about celebrating, right, the petty bourgeoisie and kind of modern life, right? We see Monet celebrating pretty gardens, walks in the park, women with umbrellas because it's too sunny and it might, tan their fair skin. Notice it's not raining, right? The umbrella is literally to prevent a tan here. Like, come on. And we see painters like Pissarro, Degas, Renoir, all focused on portraying city life as exciting and, it's still exciting, right? If you go to Chicago or New York City today, there's a buzz that goes with the city. So these are all the things that painters are trying to express. I'm not going to show this film. It's not necessary. I'll worry about it later. But film was invented in this period, right? So it's just all of modern culture as we know it today. Are all these things proof that this era, it really is beautiful and wonderful and great? Or are they really just kind of overshadowing and putting lipstick on a pig, right? Is it really just the end of an old age, right? Is it really all of the stuff that goes on this period? Is it really bad because it ends up causing World War I? Is it really a good idea after all to be modern? Are all the tropes we associate with modernity desirable or not? These are the things we're going to think about this unit. So you guys have the rest of the hour to work on your blue sheets, to read, to make sense of a lot of the core concepts in chapter 12. As you do your reading, I actually encourage you today to I'll talk about social studies offerings tomorrow, by the way. I encourage you to not worry about Marx and socialism while you read today. We're going to get really into Marx tomorrow. So maybe while you read today, avoid the sections on Marx and communism and Russian history, because it's kind of thrown in there haphazardly, and really focus on kind of this Belle Epoque versus fin de siècle, like learn about the second industrial revolution, read about, sanitation, read about new amusement parks and art and all this stuff, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritties of seizing the means of production more tomorrow. Okay? So, cool. I will see you guys tomorrow. Again, I'm in the building today. I just can't be in class today for teacher-y reasons. It's not that exciting. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. See ya.